Hi, I'm Tanner, and this is my exhibition on how the human form has been changed throughout art throughout the years. This exhibition focuses on how each on how each different civilization has shown and represented the human form throughout art, and all the different types of and how the different types of like techniques they've used to create and represent the human body throughout each of these. But the main thing I wanted to do is put it in order on a timeline from the prehistoric to the ancient Near East to around the Egyptian, the Greek, and the Roman eras, but also show how each has shown the art style throughout each human form. Now the first sculpture we have is the Woman of Willendorf, which is also known, but it's more commonly known as the Woman of Willendorf, but was known as a different name, known as the Venus of Willendorf, but over time has been changed to be the Woman of Willendorf. And this was sculpted. This was sculpted with limestone, which was one of the more common materials in that area, and it was only around 4.25 inches, and it was found in 1908 by workers Johann Veron and Joseph Veram. And the main purpose of this statue was not to be displayed, but to be sold by merchants as some sort of good luck charm. But it was also mostly used as you can see, it is more of a stylized sculpture with more exaggerated features on the piece. The second one we have is from the ancient Near East and is a votive statue, which was used for worshiping. And it is a statue of Prince Uday of Lagash. And the statue was made around 2120 BC, and the thing was over 29 feet high, and it was made of diorite. But this statue is only one of the 20 sculptures of the guy himself that was made. And the one thing this does different from the previous statue is that this one uses more of idealism, which is used to portray him as more of a godlike person. Now our third statue is a statue of Imhotep, which is a Egyptian demigod, and this was made around 2900 BC, and it was made of copper. But it's shown to be a more seated version of him, which shows how he was more revered as a god over 1500 years later after it was made. But this one uses a more of idealism, but also a more stylized look because of how using pretty much the Egyptian art style that they had created. Our fourth statue is a spear bearer of Diosphorus from Greece. It was made around 440 BC, but this statue is only a copy. Because the copy statue was only 6 foot, was 6'6", and it was made of marble. But the original was made with bronze, and as you can see, this one uses more realism to represent the musculature in the in the features of him, with the more musculature and the more proper hands, and with more realistic, but it's mostly realism, which was more used around this time. The Romans, on the other hand, when they made this statue, which is of a minister holding busts of his ancestors, most of the techniques that were used are very similar to the spear bearer, with the detail and the realism of him. But this thing but it also even expands on that with more clothing, with showing more details and the wrinkles of his robes, but also more facial detail that was definitely used in previous statues by Greece, which definitely shows the improvement from how we went from the Roman statue. But before that, we went from stylized stuff like this to more idealized statues from the Near East, all the way to almost realistic statues used right here in the Roman era. But the main thing that this shows is that throughout history, they kept sculpting and making people. But the one thing that they have done is mostly the artists, throughout their many carving, sculpting, or even painting, they've learned how to get the human figure down properly. So now in modern day, we can finally have proper statues of people that almost look dead on accurate.